asked them to kind of start working with sensors, ways in which they could capture perhaps what was going on in the environment at multiple levels. We worked with them using a range of sensors and Arduino, which we found, which is made in Italy, I'm sure you know, which we found to be a very actually easy development platform for these kind of rapid prototyping activities, and the students take to it very well. So they did a combination of kind of real-time data capture all along this territory between the two coasts. Our students work in kind of multidisciplinary groups, so we get them to work in groups of perhaps 4, 5, 6 students all together, and they take on different kind of production roles, you could say, within a project. They also were given kind of research contacts within more traditional data holding bodies, like the kind of county records office, where they could access information about births and deaths. Also kind of industrial accidents within mining, from the history of that industry. Once they'd engaged in this process of gathering all the information together, we put on another set of workshops which were to do with what you could do with it, data visualization workshops. At that stage we introduced the framework processing, which we found to be a very useful one. Also, I mean, still within the idea that we had the assertion earlier from Guattari that television in itself was promoting a kind of strategic infantilization. We also have a particular position within the course, so we're sort of suggesting that many of the industrial tools of so-called new media have built-in kind of behaviors which will encourage students to be producing a particular type of work, and kind of flash is a sort of particular problem in this regard. So we're trying to move away from perhaps developing in those frameworks and into processing, which we find to be quite useful at this stage. Oh, okay, sure. I didn't realize we were over time, but these are just some quick images from some of the workshops. I'll give you some very, very quick descriptions, which you will find in full in the written article. We really broke down the written article heavily for today. But the article, if you're interested, goes into some descriptive depth about the projects that were made by the students. This one, it was an augmented reality project, and this is the students' own visualizations of the concept. In this augmented reality project, the visitor was using video goggles and able to explore this territory of what was an open cast mine, and the students kind of deployed some sort of provocative and sort of crass visualizations into this territory. Other projects, I'll just quickly show a little bit of this one.
William A. Webs, William Rupert, John Oates, James Henry Collins, John Richards.
This was a
Walter
project where
Richards,
the statistical data that I mentioned earlier about deaths in the mines,
William
especially
Barron,
of children. There was a lot of child labor used
John
in
Hodge,
Cornish mining.
John Searle,
In this project, the students input
William
this
Burgess,
data about
Thomas
child
Richards,
deaths into a kind of a fairly abstract visualization.
John
I think
Stoneman,
it's explained fairly well there on the screen.
Edmund
I'll
Botzer.
try and finish now. So this is our kind of attempt at a conclusion, using that last project, which unfortunately I didn't really have time to show you much of it, but that project was a kind of good illustration of kind of the problematic at the heart of trying to do this kind of teaching as we see it. Although we put these very explicit obstructions in the path of the students to try and prevent them from making a kind of easy, what we've called chain of emotional signifiers, they very much perhaps want to do that. And the project that we just saw there, we didn't get far enough in the video, but they did kind of push very much at the limits of the obstructions in the brief by almost creating characters just purely by hearing the name. Even though you're seeing just a little abstract square of light, you hear a name, and you hear perhaps some, they very naughtily put some music into the project even though they weren't allowed to do that. So we had to give them some poor marks for putting music on.